Good morning, folks. My name is Curtis Chandler, President of PFL. We hope that you are enjoying our early morning briefing. We are live 7 a.m. Eastern Standard Time every Monday. If you are viewing this podcast through our reports and are up at 7 a.m. Eastern on Mondays, please tune in next week live instead. Please like us and follow us and pass on the good word. We would certainly appreciate it. We're almost 850 followers with the objective to get to 1,000 followers during Q4. Please pass on our reports to anyone that you feel could be interested in receiving them and have them sign up directly with PFL. The reports are free, and we send a daily market report, a weekly rail report, and a monthly storage report to over 15,000 industry participants. Our weekly quote this week from people that we believe and are really smart or respect is from John F. Kennedy. John F. Kennedy once said, "As we express our gratitude, we must never forget that the highest form of appreciation is not to utter words, but to live by them." Don't you love JFK quotes? Well, it goes without saying that we really like this one, folks. As we enter into this time of Thanksgiving and express our gratitude and spend time with friends and family, let's remember the time that we have during this upcoming Thanksgiving break. Let's live in gratitude and appreciation, for we have a lot to be thankful for. The U.S. Labor Department stated on Thursday of last week that U.S. workers filed an additional 742,000 initial jobless claims. The number of first-time filers for unemployment benefits were higher than expected and were estimated to come in at 700,000. This was the first increase in 5 weeks and a sign that the resurgent viral outbreak is likely slowing the economy and forcing more companies to cut jobs. Of the 20 million Americans now receiving some form of unemployment benefits, about half will lose those benefits when 2 federal programs expire at the end of the year. Democrat states are now starting to shut down again ahead of these benefits expiring, and some closing schools against CDC guidelines. One has to ask themselves, why are they doing this? Certainly jobs and businesses and mental health are going to be affected in a huge way. Evidence is now emerging that consumers are losing confidence in the economic outlook and pulling back on shopping, eating out, and other activities. Spending on 30 million credit cards and debit cards tracked by JP Morgan Chase fell 7.4% earlier this month compared with a year ago. That marked a sharp drop from 2 weeks earlier. Consumer sentiment is also declined in early November and is shown nearly 21% from a year ago, according to a University of Michigan survey. The Dow closed lower on Friday, down 219.75 points, closing out the week at 29,263.48 points, down 216.33 points week over week. The S&P 500 closed lower on Friday as well, down 24.33 points, closing out the week at 3,557.54 points, down 27.61 points week over week. The NASDAQ closed lower as well on Friday of last week, down 49.74 points, closing out the week at 11,854.97 points. The NASDAQ actually traded higher week over week, up 25.68 points. In overnight trading, futures traded higher, and we are expected to open up this morning 215 points. Oil rose to its highest level in nearly 3 months, with positive COVID-19 vaccine developments paving the way for a more sustained recovery in oil demand. Futures rose 5% in New York, last week for a third straight weekly gain as Pfizer and BioNTech SE request emergency authorization of their COVID vaccine on Friday. Moderna Inc. also released positive interim results from a final stage trial and said it is close to seeking emergency authorization. Further gains were limited by broader market declines amid a dispute between the White House and the Federal Reserve over emergency lending programs. WTI traded up 41 cents per barrel on Friday at 42.15, up $2.02 per barrel week over week. Brent traded up 76 cents per barrel, closing out the week at 44.96, up $2.18 a barrel week over week. Oil is higher in overnight trading, and WTI is poised to open at 43.01, up 59 cents per barrel from Friday's close. Total North American rail volumes were up 4.4% year over year in week 46, resulting in quarter-to-date volumes that are up 2% and year-to-date volumes that are down 8.2%. 6 of AAR's 11 major traffic categories posted year-over-year increases, with the largest increases coming from intermodal at plus 12.2% and grain at plus 25%. The largest decreases came from coal at minus 16.2% and petroleum down 25.2%. North American rig count is up by 10 rigs week over week. The U.S. lost 2 rigs week over week with 310 active rigs. Canada's rig count was up 12 rigs week over week. Canada's overall rig count is now over 100 rigs at 101. Year over year, we are down 629 rigs collectively. Despite the decrease in overall U.S. rig count, there is an increase in U.S. rig count involving plays in the Bakken Shale Formation in North Dakota. Since roughly half the Bakken lies on federal land, producers are worried that a Biden presidency will halt drilling on federal lands and that permits will no longer be issued, so a little bit of a rush to get what they can get done. It is expected that unless Trump can pull a rabbit out of his hat, that Joe Biden will become president in January of next year. In Canada last week, the Canadian Association of Oil Drilling Contractors, CAODC, came out with a forecast that expects 3,771 wells to be drilled next year, up 475 wells from the projected total of 3,296 in 2020. The forecast is more optimistic than the one made 3 weeks ago by the Petroleum Services Association of Canada, calling for a total of 2,600 wells next year, down 8.8% from the expected 50-year low total of 2,850 wells in the current year. The CAODC forecast for 2021 represents a 71% drop from the 13,089 wells drilled in 2014, the year before current oil field slump began. CAODC noted a few things that we're keeping an eye on. On Thursday of last week, TC Energy announced that it entered into an agreement with Canada's native group people called the NLE. The agreement permits NLE to invest up to 1 billion Canadian in TC Energy's Keystone XL pipeline project underway in Canada despite opposition from U.S. President-elect Joe Biden. The transaction's initial phase is expected to end in the third quarter of next year. The project had to cope with multitude oppositions from various U.S. landowners, environment groups, and indigenous groups, as it is thought to worsen climate fluctuations and add to greenhouse gas emissions. TC Energy is proceeding with the construction of the cross-border project following the NLE investment in spite of Biden's vow to stop the pipeline by revoking Keystone XL's permit in the U.S. The Midstream Services believes the NLE agreement will lead to employment generation and support the indigenous group, which might fit well into the incoming Biden administration's Build Back Better plan. The project is expected to enter into operation in 2023. Petroleum by rail. The 4-week rolling average of petroleum carried on the largest North American railroads rose to 23,274 compared with 22,933 the prior week. CP shipments rose by 0.3%. CN's volumes rose by 3.4%. In the U.S., shipments were up across the board week over week, with the CSX and the NS both up 6.2%. Global air freight and containerized ocean traffic. Total U.S. and Canadian container imports were up 18% year over year in October, according to peers. Volume strength is expected into January, driven by improving organic demand involving restocking of inventory. We are watching shipping rates, folks. Ocean rates in the spot market remain well above all-time highs, with rates from Asia to the U.S. West Coast rising slightly over the past 30 days from $3,800 per container to $3,850 due to capacity constraints, as volumes have recovered faster than capacity add-backs occurred. FAQ spot rates with fuel rates are now 185% above year-ago levels, according to Shanghai Containerized Freight Index. Well, that's all for this week's podcast, folks. We hope you have a great, safe week, and we will see you next Monday. PFL has been extremely active in storage and all rail-related activities. Make sure to check out our just posted reports at pflpetroleum.com or call PFL to troubleshoot any questions or concerns that you may have, and that number is 239-390-2885. Have a great week, folks, and have a great Thanksgiving.